may I have your unbiased attention for our closing keynote speaker. Mário Campolargo was the former Director General of DG Digit, where he has been in charge of the definition and implementation of the European Commission's digital strategy, also the transition of the Commission services to working from home during the pandemic, and many other European initiatives in the field of interoperability, including, for instance, the COVID digital certificate. Currently Secretary of State for Digitalisation and Administrative Modernisation in Portugal, this is a man who is clearly acquainted to navigating through muddy waters and who has both the strength and the stamina to stick to a strategy and to make it happen. So, needless to say, we are thrilled that he could join our SEMIC 2023 conference here today to deliver the closing keynote. Mario, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Dear Secretary of State, what a pleasure to see you here. Thank you. And thanks for this warm welcome. What a pleasure. Let me put it this here. It's going to fall. What a pleasure and an honor seeing all these familiar faces in the room and feeling what Veronica already mentioned, such an energy around the topic I am personally so passionate about. Well, I hesitated to say, but I think that I have to say, with a long experience, this long part is the one that I don't like, with a long experience in navigating, as you said, complexities of public administration, interoperability at national, at European, and also at global levels, I think that I'm acutely aware of the challenges we face. But I also obviously recognize the opportunities that lie ahead. And I consider it a duty, and let me say, a privilege to share some of them with you in my current responsibilities. Let me start by referring that during my years working in the Commission, and now as a member of the Portuguese government with responsibilities on digitalisation and modernisation of public administration, I have had the opportunity to witness the significant collective efforts of the European Union, of its member states, to design and implement effective digital public services. Governments, let me put here a parenthesis, in democratic countries, have long aspired to being open, attentive, transparent, flexible, accountable, as Karma said, and engaging in their relation to citizens and businesses, and certainly, when properly implemented, digital public services can actually contribute to all these goals. It is true that effective digital public services, based on well-thought re-engineering of processes and aligned with a fundamental digital perspective, lead to an increase of efficiency in the public sector and also reduce the administrative burden on businesses and citizens. But are we putting the citizen or the businesses at the center of our action? Are we really understanding the implications of the paradigm shift from bureaucratic structures towards citizen-centered orientations? Well, in an area where academics are still looking for integrative frameworks that may bring conceptual clarity, as citizen centricity includes various narratives around digital services, acquiring digital competences for everybody, possibly co-creating new services. And this is actually linked to the roles or the perception of citizens as consumers, maybe prosumers, clients, stakeholders, customers, or even partners, stemming really from different types of paradigms related to how passive, active, or empowered we believe that citizens can be. Citizens that, by the way, and as a result of the fast-paced process of digitalization, have become increasingly digital and have higher and higher expectations when it comes to the quality of public services. And are we overcoming the challenges that were referred, for example, by Pedro, Secretary of State of Justice of Portugal, related to long-lasting organizational structures and cultures, static processes embedded in systems, in software, often exhibiting all kinds of legacy. The integration of different systems, again, often belonging to distinct administrative domains, and to quote the Secretary of State from Romania, from private and from public as well, or the lack of standardized data formats, and mostly important, the associated semantic interpretations, the different concerns in terms of security, probably more important in terms of privacy, and also the disruption that is introduced by new technological advances. This is the context, guys. But the fact is that, independently of the level of maturity of our public administrations, our citizens and businesses demand more from governments, more from public administrations, if by no other reason because there is an obvious comparison with the dynamic private sector using apps and all the data that they can extract from us to tailor services and anticipate our needs. Well, what remains for us in the public administrations? We need to get more proactive, more anticipative, using the data the citizens shared and entrust us to keep. You know, in Portugal, sort of say that we need to adopt what in Portugal works like being a triple A approach. It doesn't work very well in the English on the first A, but you will follow me. The first A is, in Portuguese, aproximar. This means getting the administration closer to the citizen. The second A is anticipate the needs of the citizen. And the third A is automate the solution. So A. Get it closer, anticipate, and automate. Simple thing to guide our actions. But public administrations, in order to anticipate the needs of its citizens, have to ensure adequate, and I borrowed the word from Sim this morning, data governance, making the most out of the available data, storing, securing, curating, and reusing it to allow basically a double objective to citizens and businesses. First, to ensure that they are only requested to provide their data once, in a single occasion, and second, because they still can benefit from tailored solutions. There is therefore a need to re-examine continuously our processes, look into our services, data structures, manage consent, and work on the transformation of our back offices, streamlining information flows and integrated data processes to satisfy the needs of the citizens, whenever and wherever they may be. Well, but guys, what I described here, you know the key word. The key word is exactly interoperability. Interoperability is a fundamental part of our daily operations of all of us in the public administrations. It is crucial for the provision of citizens, for example, with a single integrated point of access to public services as our digital wallet or any single point of presence or app. And I could use many examples of the benefits of interoperability, but you know all of them better than me. So I would like just to reflect on one or two of the challenges that its implementation presents and that I'm sure that many of us are continuously struggling with. As alluded before, let us just think about how complex, costly, and time-consuming it is to integrate different systems from different stakeholders and how it requires common efforts and coordinated approaches which are seldom very difficult to reach. Or let us consider legacy systems that will be always a reality, and how within the same public administration, different entities use different data formats for the same type of information, making it difficult to ensure data quality and effective exchange of information with value at semantic level. Ladies and gentlemen, as new technologies emerge, obviously, we'll keep up with the last trends to modernize all our systems. But what we discuss here today is how these new technologies may also help us be part of the answer to some of the challenges the interoperability raises, and that I just referred 1 second ago. AI is one of these disruptive technologies, in my view, with a high potential in this domain. In this context, I think that's exactly why the discussion today about interoperability in the age of AI is so much important and was so much interesting. We could see here today how the advent of AI is opening a world of possibilities, including to foster multiple aspects of interoperability. It will help in the analysis, transformation, and mapping of significant amounts of data. It will help to curate and harmonize data from different sources more efficiently, making such data more accurate and contextualized, and therefore overcoming the traditional data fragmentation. It will also provide a significant improvement on the automation of different tasks, some of them on real time, which will be performed more quickly and accurately, and in a number of cases without human intervention, leading therefore to increased efficiency and to the natural reduction of costs. And of course, if artificial intelligence can be used to improve the quality and interoperability of data, it can also be a powerful tool for analyzing such data and identifying patterns, needs, and trends, contributing to the provision of better services, and ultimately, and very importantly, to more informed and evidence-based decision-making and policy making. So, having me here today, you will wonder, what are we doing in Portugal and how are we betting on interoperability and artificial intelligence to create public services tailored to the needs of our own citizens? Well, Portugal is actively engaging in formulating policies that promote interoperability and at the same time ensure the responsible use of AI. We are striving to create an environment where innovation flourishes without compromising the protection of individual rights and the respect for our national and European values and identity. And in this journey, balance has proven to be a key to success. Such balance depends on our ability to understand and to respond to the rapid pace of technological evolution while bearing in mind the social and ethical implications that such evolution necessarily entails. Thus, ensuring data privacy, cybersecurity, inclusivity, while creating safe spaces for innovation. This has been of paramount concern for Portugal. Innovation that needs to come together with experimentation, sometimes even in the context of regulatory sandboxes. The Portuguese government is creating a new legal framework for administrative modernization, bringing together dispersed legal documents that at the time actually made a difference and already ensure that today Portugal belongs to the group of digital nations, the 10 nations in the world that excel on the provision of advanced digital public services. But we need to be better prepared for the future, a digital future. And such new framework, which will be based on digital government principles, better practices, and just as we are today, will promote interoperability as a means to avoid administrative siloing and corresponding burdens to promote safe spaces for experimentation to test the future of public services. In this respect, actually, you may know that in Portugal, we have since long a very emblematic program called Simplex, where we promote simplification, as the name simplex somehow suggests, I suppose, to all of you. But also, if you extract the first 3 letters of simplex, you find the word S-E-M, sim, that means yes. And so a motivation of this simplex program was also to say yes to our citizens and businesses. And the simplifications introduced stem from the administration, but also from the citizens, from businesses, from consultations with associations of users, etc. Today, we are actually reinforcing this simplex program with a vast program on simplification of licensing in various domains. Once again, trying to reduce bureaucracy and at the same time betting on digital platforms. But we cannot stay at this level. We need to look broader. And as a Secretary of State for Digitalisation and Modernisation of Public Administration, we need to look broader. That's why we will launch a new digital strategy. We call it Digital 2030, which sets our ambition for the society at large. But obviously, we'll also include our ambition on the provision of digital and automated public services, a strategy that will be able to detail specific initiatives to ensure interoperability, data sharing within the public administration. Reinforcing, in this case, the idea that digital strategies that link a public and a private perspective are actually the most impactful in our societies. Obviously, as a precursor of this strategy, we are revising and/or preparing strategic views on data, Web 3.0, cyber, intelligent territories, and surprise, surprise, artificial intelligence. All aligned with the EU strategies, identify concise but concrete action plans that mutually reinforce each other. In particular, with the revision of the artificial intelligence strategy that we have already in Portugal, we will try to ensure the uptake of innovative solutions for administrative simplification, to strengthen the public sector capabilities in relation to AI and data science, and to promote coordination between different entities, namely through the use of interoperability tools. Today, we confirm also its importance in the challenging domain of making interoperability systems work better. But it's not enough to only strategize. As I said before, and some of you commented, we need to continuously experiment. That's why we have been consistently working on implementing concrete, innovative projects which bring AI and interoperability together. Earlier this year, for example, we launched a new service that allows our citizens to request their strong authentication mechanism, what we call in Portugal the digital mobile key, and that allows you to access any websites of the public administration or banks or private sector only using their mobile phones. No need to any face-to-face interaction. Why? Because we use the interoperability mechanisms. We are able to remotely validate all the identification data submitted with the activation request, and with the help of artificial intelligence, we can confirm the veracity of the documents submitted by the citizens and validate their identities using AI-enabled biometrics. And by the way, we created a generative AI-based avatar to advise and give guidance to the users to start using this app. I could further mention the use of AI to generate the names, the firms of the companies that in Portugal are created on the spot. These names, and this is a fantastic work done by the Ministry of Justice, relate strongly to the domain of activity of this company, avoiding any risk of oral or written confusion with existing denominations. And guess what? It's done by AI. I could also mention further use of AI, including in the areas of justice, or taxation, or social security, or health. Or more importantly, the use of AI to provide services that cross the traditional silos and that use data collected under strict rules of consent. In fact, dear friends, when I think about the modernization of public administration, I think always more of services that cross administrative domains and respond to the events of life than to the digitalization of a specific sector. The latter is important, but has much less impact in the daily life of our citizens and our businesses. And the first one, the most important, challenges us again on the interoperability dimensions. I see therefore my mission very adjacent to the notion of interoperability at the service of the citizen. This is how I see the modernization journey in my country. This is actually what I want for Portugal. And this is how I see your countries and our European Union become increasingly more interoperable in the age of AI. I believe that the work done in Portugal stands as a testament of EU commitment to interoperability. But are we an isolated example? Well, the answer, fortunately, is no. We have the concrete presentation from Carmen. And as you could see today, all along the day, we are part of a larger movement where member states and the European Union are working closely and collectively to establish interoperable frameworks that foster collaboration, innovation, and user centricity. One good example is the proposal of the European Interoperability Framework. But the Interoperability Framework is just part of a growing effort to promote interoperability in the public sector across the EU. Examples? The 2030 Digital Compass underlines the need and the ambition to ensure interoperability across all levels of government and across public services. The Digital Decade Policy Programme sets a clear target of 100% online services accessible from the public services, especially the key public services, by 2030. And the Interoperability Act, emerging as a fundamental step towards guaranteeing Europe's digital goals for 2030 and promoting trusted data flows. The Act mandates assessments to evaluate the impact that technology changes may have on cross-border interoperability, thus contributing again to more consistent approaches within the Union. It also provides for the creation of an Interoperable Europe portal, which couldn't be more in line with our current need to encourage communication and to facilitate the exchange of information on interoperability and technological solutions. And speaking about cooperation, let's not forget the regulatory sandbox that are foreseen in the Interoperable Europe Act and also in the AI Act, which will create an ideal context for experimentation and innovation by relevant stakeholders of all member states. Dear friends, I give particular attention to the discussion on this Act. It has a strong potential to consolidate the fragmented interoperability framework in the Union. Still, despite the significant advancements in this subject, we would be naive if we would say that there is no work to be done to increase national or cross-border interoperability. Collaboration, dialogue, and mutual understanding are key to achieve a level playing field in the European Union, and it is an endeavor for times to come. Dear friends, as I conclude, I would like to leave you with a call for action. We must champion the cause of a more interoperable Europe, one that not only keeps pace with technological advancements, but also leverages them to bring about societal value. One that moves from frameworks and acts to real implementations. Let me, apropos, recall one of the last projects I attached strongly while in the Commission, the EU Digital COVID Certificate, and derive from that example two small lessons. First, the certificate, entirely based on a premise of cross-border interoperability, played a key role in breathing new life into sectors that were very affected by the pandemics and that are important to so many European economies, such as tourism in Spain, in Portugal, and others, or aviation. Also to complement the digital interaction, so important to keep the social cohesion of our societies during the pandemics, with the irreplaceable face-to-face meetings with families and friends. But politically, and very, very importantly, it was the first tool we had to recover one of the cornerstone principles of our European Union, the freedom of movement. So, interoperability is more than strategic. Like Sim said this morning, it is really to be brought to the attention of policy leaders. It is in fact the only way to implement policies at European level. Second lesson, the EU Digital COVID certificate was a strong cooperation between the European Commission and the Member States. So, dear friends from the Commission, do not hesitate to be an active partner in the implementation of the Interoperable Europe. And with an eye on the future, I must leave you with the final thoughts about artificial intelligence and large language models, about which we heard so much in these last 2 days. As said today here, what we discuss in these 2 days should not be understood as just tools. They are actually pathways to a transformative cultural change. They will allow us to interact with the public administration services in a completely different way, as if we go to in Portugal, one of the citizen shops, where we have the citizens to be served face-to-face, using their own language, our own language, in a frictionless, a very rich and trust-generating interaction. And again, to pay tribute to the richness of cultures and languages that we have in Europe, let us use AI and large language models as a way of providing services all over Europe to our citizens, the ones in movement, but also welcoming the very much needed talent in Europe in the languages they are used to use. Let us harness these technologies responsibly, fostering collaboration and understanding amongst nations, without forgetting that if innovation brings countless opportunities, it also involves great responsibility and the need to uphold ethical guardrails. And by following the inspiring example of the EU COVID certificate and fostering dialogue, encouraging collaboration and embracing technological innovation, we can create a future where interoperability is not just a goal, but becomes a reality, enabling us to build a more connected, inclusive, and prosperous Europe. A world where, and this is very important now, our unity arises precisely from the diversity of our backgrounds and from our ability to find common grounds. One into the other, one reinforcing the other, very appropriately, exactly the same way we do with interoperability. Thank you very much.